Here is what we can be sure of when we come to God in prayer. If we ask anything in keeping with what God wants, God hears us. If we know that God hears what we ask for, we know that we have it. 1 John chapter 5, verse 14 to 15. Hi friends, happy Wednesday. I hope you're staying cool today. My name is Michelle Caudle. I'm the Director of Children's Ministries at Los Altos United Methodist Church. Today for our Wise Words Wednesday, I'm bringing you the story of Joshua bringing down the city of Jericho. I think this is a great story because it's about how prayer can change anything. When change needs to come about, prayer is your answer. But it's not prayer like we often imagine it. It's a different type of prayer. Let's read to see how Joshua brings change about. Around the city, the closer the Israelites got to Jericho, the smaller they felt. There was no way they could get inside that city. The walls were huge. The big solid gates were locked tight. No one was going in, and no one was coming out. But their leader, Joshua, refused to be afraid. As he stood looking up at the massive walls, Joshua thought about all the wonderful words God had whispered to him. "I'll never leave you, Joshua. Be strong and brave. I'm going with you into this new place, and everywhere you place your foot, the land will be yours. I've given the city to you already." How amazing! Joshua could be confident that Jericho would belong to the Israelites because God had already given it to them. He just had to convince the people of that. "How are we going to get in there, Joshua?" the Israelites cried. "We need a battering ram." But Joshua smiled. They didn't need a battering ram. They just needed prayer. "We're going to march around the city and blow trumpets," said Joshua as the Israelites stared at him in amazement. "And no talking." Joshua took the first step and everyone else followed. Round the wall the Israelites marched, and every day for 6 days they circled the city once, never making even the smallest peep. But the trumpets kept blowing and Joshua kept going. He knew that with every step he took and with every circle he completed, he was stepping toward God's promise. On the 7th day, the Israelites circled the city 6 times as the priests blew their trumpets. On the 7th time around the walls with a loud trumpet blast, all the Israelites gave a huge cry. And guess what happened? The walls of Jericho came tumbling down. With a shriek and a shout, the Israelites poured into the city, leaping and laughing and cheering for God. Joshua shook his head in amazement as he looked at the once mighty stones that lay at his feet. It was a miracle. Jericho belonged to the Israelites, but all the glory belonged to God. I really like this story because it reminds me of how powerful prayer can be. If God has a plan for us, and if it's in God's heart, it will happen. We just have to keep walking. In the story, Joshua didn't pray like we often pray, closing our eyes, clasping our hands, bowing our heads. He prayed by walking. And sometimes prayer looks very, very different. Sometimes it's walking, sometimes it's singing, sometimes it's playing an instrument or running. Prayer can look like a lot of different things. So this week, as we think about the changes that God has in store for us, keep praying and praying and praying, however that looks for you. Be well, my friends. Bye.